Compounding is often called the most powerful force in finance, but the reality is that very few people truly understand how powerful it actually is. The reason is simple: it's not intuitive. Our brains are not wired to naturally grasp exponential growth. So, we tend to underestimate just how big small gains can become over time. When we think about success, we usually imagine big moments, bold decisions, or massive breakthroughs. But in reality, many of the greatest financial outcomes come from something much quieter: consistency over long periods of time. Small, steady returns, when given enough time, can grow into something extraordinary. A great example of this is Warren Buffett. Most people know him as one of the richest investors in the world, but what's often overlooked is how much of his wealth came from time, not just skill. Buffett is undeniably brilliant, but the real secret behind his fortune is that he has been investing consistently for more than 7 decades. If you look closely, a huge portion of his wealth was built after the age of 60, not because he suddenly became smarter, but because compounding had more time to do its work. The longer money stays invested, the more it grows, not just linearly, but exponentially. This is where things get interesting. If Buffett had started investing later in life, or if he had retired early, his net worth would be only a small fraction of what it is today. His success is a combination of skill, discipline, and most importantly, time. This shows us an important lesson. It's not necessarily about earning the highest returns, but about keeping your money invested for as long as possible. Time is the most powerful multiplier, but here's the problem: compounding works best over decades. And that's exactly what makes it hard to appreciate. We live in a world that values quick results. We want fast success, instant rewards, and visible progress. Compounding, on the other hand, is slow and almost invisible in the beginning. In the early years, the growth feels small. It can even feel pointless. But over time, those small gains begin to stack on top of each other, and eventually, the curve starts to rise dramatically. What once seemed insignificant suddenly becomes massive. This is why patience is such a rare and valuable skill in finance. Most people give up too early. They chase quick wins, take unnecessary risks, or constantly change strategies, all of which interrupt the compounding process. Another important point is that compounding doesn't just apply to money. It applies to habits, knowledge, and relationships as well. Small improvements, repeated consistently, can lead to huge results over time. The challenge is that we often underestimate small actions because their results are not immediately visible. But just like money in an investment account, those actions are quietly accumulating in the background. Think of it this way: compounding and we're like planting a tree. In the beginning, nothing seems to happen. But if you keep watering it, year after year, it eventually grows into something massive. The key is not to dig it up every few months to check if it's growing. This is where many people go wrong. They interrupt their progress by constantly reacting to short-term changes. They focus on what's happening today instead of what could happen over decades. Truth is, consistency beats intensity when it comes to long-term success. You don't need extraordinary returns, you need time, discipline, and the ability to stay committed at its core. Compounding is simple, but its effects are anything but. It turns small beginnings into massive outcomes, not overnight, but over time. And once you truly understand this, you begin to see that the biggest advantage you can have is not intelligence or even skill, it's patience. Another reason compounding feels confusing is because its results are heavily concentrated in the final years. For a long time, it looks like nothing significant is happening. Then suddenly, the growth becomes explosive. This creates an illusion that success happened quickly, when in reality it was built slowly over decades. Tend to look at successful people and focus only on the outcome, the wealth, the recognition, the achievements. What we don't see is the long period of quiet, consistent effort that came before it. Compounding hides its magic in plain sight. It rewards those who are willing to stay patient when results are still small and unimpressive. This misunderstanding leads many people to chase shortcuts. They look for high-risk opportunities that promise quick returns, hoping to skip the slow phase. But in doing so, they often disrupt the very process that creates real wealth. Compounding doesn't need speed, it needs stability. There's also a psychological challenge. When progress is slow, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind. You might compare yourself to others who seem to be moving faster, earning more, or achieving bigger results. But what you're seeing is often just a snapshot, not the full timeline. Everyone's compounding journey is different, and comparing timelines can lead to poor decisions. Key is to focus on your own process. Stay consistent, avoid unnecessary risks, and give your efforts time to grow. The biggest gains often come later, but only if you stay in the game long enough to reach them. Another important idea is that compounding works best when it is uninterrupted. Every time you panic, change direction, or withdraw too early, you reset the process. It's like stopping a snowball halfway down a hill. It loses momentum and has to start again. This is why avoiding big mistakes is just as important as making good decisions. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to avoid actions that can wipe out your progress. Protecting what you've built allows compounding to continue doing its job. It's also worth remembering that compounding is not just about growth, it's about survival. The longer you stay consistent and avoid major setbacks, the more powerful the results become. Longevity is the hidden driver behind most success stories in many ways. Success with money is less about brilliance and more about behavior. It's about staying calm when others panic, staying patient when others chase shortcuts, and staying disciplined when others get distracted. Over time, these small advantages begin to add up. They might not seem impressive in the moment, but given enough time, they can lead to extraordinary outcomes. The beauty of compounding is that it doesn't require perfection. It rewards consistency, patience, and time. And those are qualities that anyone can develop. So instead of asking, how can I get rich quickly? A better question might be, how can I stay consistent long enough for compounding to work in my favor? Because in the end, the biggest wins don't come from dramatic moves. They come from quiet discipline, repeated over time.